when this depression, when the medication started wearing off, when I went off of it and the depression started kicking in, one of the main things I noticed is that I felt a lot more nihilistic about everything, and I felt a lot more cynical about everything, which I do think there is such thing as a healthy level of cynicism. You know, you don't want to be blissfully ignorant necessarily, but it was way too much in the other direction where I really couldn't function and I couldn't really find much purpose in life. And I'm trying my best to put this in words. This is really hard to describe to people, and I've tried to describe it to some people and family members, and I felt like I couldn't really get the words out. So I'm really trying my best to articulate what I was feeling. But I guess, okay. Probably one of the biggest things I was feeling was that the fear or anxiety that there's no such thing as truth or meaning in life. And for example, when you think about any issue that people are divided on, whether that be religion, whether that be politics, just to simplify the conversation, let's just pick an issue because I feel like I could explain myself better that way. Okay, in the issue of abortion, for example, you know what I mean? With the issue of abortion, there's a very large division between people. Some people believe that you're killing a life, and killing a life is murder. You know what I mean? And then there's a whole nother group of people that believe that you're taking away the rights of women by promoting this law of making abortion illegal. You're taking away the rights of women, and that's terrible. And both of these people are very divided and very split on these issues, and they both believe them. Like, they both, no matter which side of the spectrum, if you're passionate about either side of this spectrum, the passion is really there, and you really believe these things, and you live and you act in a way that support these beliefs. So, by the way, this isn't a conversation about abortion. This is just a conversation about, like, getting back to the idea of truth and what is truth. The point I'm trying to get at is, if two people believe in polar opposite things, and they are both so true to both of those people, then, and again, I'm not saying this is true necessarily, but these are the thoughts I had when I was depressed. Then in theory, can't you just decide what's true? Like, can't you just pick a side and then have that be your truth and have that be the way you live your life? And what I'm trying to say by this is that if you can just choose what is true to you, then does truth even exist? Like, this is so hard to articulate, and I feel if anybody understands, if anybody's like riding my wave and gets what I'm saying and feels like, oh my God, I know what she's saying, let me type it or like give it better words, because I'm not the greatest at explaining these things. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, please type it below, but I'm going to continue to try to articulate this right now. If so many different possible truths exist, like if so many different religions exist, if so many different perspectives exist, and you can just decide which one to pick and live your life that way, then doesn't that mean that life itself is all a lie? Like, life itself is all a fantasy. Like, nobody really knows what's going on. You know what I mean? And there is no such thing as truth. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying that those are the thoughts I had when I was depressed. And here's another perspective, is that some people I talked to during this time, like my boyfriend and my father to a degree, some people find great comfort in the idea of there being no meaning of life. Like, some people find that to be incredibly comforting, to know that you can create your own meaning. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a sickness right now. Some people find incredible freedom and incredible relaxation and like a sense of letting go of the idea of there not really being a meaning or truth and the idea that you can create your own truth. For some reason, I'm not one of those people. Like, you think, I kind of get like where they're coming from. Like, I kind of get what they're saying. They're saying that wouldn't it be almost like, I think someone described it to me like this, like, wouldn't you almost feel like you're in a prison if you felt like there was only one definition of life and that's what you had to follow? Wouldn't that feel like being in some sort of prison of some kind? Like, you didn't really get to choose what was right or wrong. It just all existed. And some people think that would be more, that would create more suffering. You know what I mean? But I personally struggle with the idea of there not being some sort of meaning or truth to life. To me, that creates a lot of suffering and creates a lot of existential anxiety in my life, to the point where I can't find the meaning and purpose of anything. I'm just like, wait a second, if you can just decide what your life is, then what the fuck? Like what does any of it mean? You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where the thoughts I was having kind of started. And then once I started thinking that way, I started just to become very pessimistic. Like, you know, they say there's like such thing as you look at life through rose-covered glasses. Like, I did not have those rose-covered glasses about anything at this time. As a matter of fact, I had a very George Carlin, I guess you could say, aspect of life. Like, I don't know if anybody knows who the comedian George Carlin is, but he's a comedian who's notorious for just like hating everything, for finding why everything sucks and everything is stupid. I kind of had that mentality during this time, but without the funniness. Like, it was just pure cynicism, pure depression. I couldn't really do anything or go anywhere without seeing why it was bullshit. Like for example, I would go to a yoga class. Like, I was trying to get better. I was like doing things to try to get better. And I signed up for this yoga class, and I just remember going there thinking like, this is bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like the women in there are like your energy is so vibrant, and like, I just remember thinking like, this is just a bunch of white women, you know, taking on an Indian tradition. Like, this is a bunch of fucking bullshit. Like, which there might be by the way, one thing I've learned coming out of this is that during depressions like this, there actually is a lot of insight, because some of these things are true. You know what I mean? But that doesn't necessarily mean you want to dwell into those negative mindsets for a long time. That's not a healthy way to live, because you can get yourself in a really dark place, in a dangerous place. You know, it got to a point where I was having suicidal thoughts, because like, if you get to a place where everything is stupid and nothing means anything, and you just kind of have this very nihilistic perspective of life, you can't live like that. There's no way to live like that. You have to find something to live for.